Okay, everyone, welcome back. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I'm Silves with the Valley Noble team, and we are today here at the Noble Lounge interviews with our BYU students in Hawaii. So, what I'm going to do is turn you over to our guest today, and her name is Joya, and she's going to talk a little bit about herself. So, Joya, welcome to Valley Noble interviews, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Yes, so my name is Joya Shu. So this is a Chinese name. I'm from Taiwan. I am now senior studying BYU Hawaii. My major is TESOL, which stands for Teaching English to Speakers of Other Languages, and I'm minoring in psychology and professional writing.
Wow, that's awesome. Thank you, Joya, for your introduction. I love how, TESOL, I remember my friends taking TESOL for their major. So I guess what led you, coming back, what led you to consider BYU as a study destination?
So prior to my mission during high school, my dad actually gave me some resources to study English to come and to prepare to come here. But at the time, my English was still not that good yet, so I'm not confident in my English that I'll pass. At the time, I had a college university in Taiwan, so my plan was after my mission, which is like a service volunteer for my church, I will go back to Taiwan for a year to see if that's something that I'm interested in. If not, then I will think about coming to BYU Hawaii. So yeah, that's what happened. There's one semester I just got a prompting that okay, I think I will try to start applying, but I'm not sure if I will get in or not. But surprisingly, a lot of like help and people just help prepare me to come. I couldn't be here without their help. So I feel like it's kind of like a drive, like pushing me here. And even though I didn't really know a reason why.
That's amazing. And I love how you said that about, it's always other people that have helped us to get to where we are today. It's never something that we've done by ourselves. So that's awesome that you acknowledge those that have driven you and have gotten to you to where you are today. So thanks for sharing that. Oh, just a quick note, whereabouts did you serve your mission?
Oh, my mission is in Hyde Park Chapel Visitor Center in England, London.
Oh wow! How was that? How was that experience?
It was it was a bit different than what I expect because um yeah, it was like partial of time you have to interact with people online, and it wasn't
Okay.
something that I'm really into. I was kind of scared and intimidated while talking to people remotely. So
Yes.
that was something that I definitely have to cope with and to get used to it. Like
Yes.
how do you connect with people remotely? That was something
Yes.
that I didn't know how.
Yeah. Well, I guess I'm sure you've learned a lot of skills because you're definitely great at connecting remotely. So that's awesome. I've not met anyone that has done that before on their mission. So that's really cool. I guess getting back to our BYU experiences. So, as a student at BYU Hawaii, what were the most challenging times for you? And while you've been studying.
Um, I think the most challenging thing or significant obstacle for me is more when I met people that might have like a bit different standard than I think. Because I
Yes.
grew up in the family that we were a bit strict about our behavior. So sometimes when I met people that have the same belief as and I expect that we all think the same way or might react or respond to certain things the same way. But then I realized, oh, we're all different.
Yes.
And that was
Yes.
something kind of just hit me. So yeah, that was something I have to realize that we are all different and we're not here to judge people because we might each at the different stages that we are all learning. So yeah, it's a great lesson to learn.
That's great. That's great. And I think that's really awesome how you put that. You know, how you've been able to, because sometimes it takes us a little while to learn, sometimes it takes us a lot. But I think your reflections on, you know, wow, okay, we are different and we are at different stages of our lives. So that's really great. What about how did you, I guess, manage that? So, what did you do to help you to understand those differences or to sort of process that? Hey, these people are different. We can think similar but have different opinions. How did you manage that process?
Um, Definitely it was hard for me at first, but then there's so many things that has happened in the past like 3 years since I'm being here. So I learned that um, I love them regardless. I embrace them as who they are, even though they might have a different standards in even though that might be not met my expectations. Um, but I really be able to see that even though we are different, but we're still a lot of things we're still in common. So I used to hear a saying that you can disagree with each other because of your values and opinions, but we don't criticize or judge people based on the difference. And that was something that I definitely learned because sometimes, like, because in BYU Hawaii is such a diverse place, and sometimes we might stereotyping that Asian is like this, or Polynesian, or people in the domestic, right? We all have this kind of stereotype, and we might think things differently because of our culture, because of our background. But I learned to really try to see through their lenses how they perceive things because of their background. Because when I get to know them a little bit more, I was able to understand what that come from. And I think that's such a tender moment for me to also learn that we are all different, but our values matters. So
I love that. Thank you for sharing. I love how you can see you know, those differences and be able to look at the person as who they are. I love that. Thank you for sharing. That's great. And yes, definitely BYU is such a diverse place. I remember, you know, for my own experiences was learning about people from different cultures, and I guess I really loved uh, being in a space where there was so much diversity. But it can be challenging, especially if you're not used to the way that people do things. So I love how you put that. Thank you very much. I
thank you.
guess what about? So let me see. I think you've answered my next question. But what about how did you manage if you went through that homesickness, and how did you keep in touch with your family and friends?
So I, because there's a lot of things going on while I'm in school. So I also get in contact with my family once a week through phone call. So I didn't have that homesickness that much, but I would say sometimes when I got sick or when sometimes I feel lonely or feel very stressful, that's when I feel like, oh, I miss my family so much. Um, so how I did that, I think it's very tender. Like my sisters, sometimes they reach out to me occasionally. So I'm that type of person. If my family or friends that reach out to me, sometimes that heals me. So it it's just amazing. I'm really grateful for my family, their support, and even though sometimes I couldn't talk with them, they always check on me, like, can you talk today? Or they're just showing like they care about me. And I think that's
Yeah.
something that really precious.
Yes, yes. No, that's really great. It's so nice how, you know, sometimes it is our siblings that we reach out to for that sort of like extra care or that extra like comfort, that extra
Yeah.
comfort. I know I do that sometimes with my sisters or my siblings. Just yeah, just even as an adult with a with the children and past all the studying stage as you are, but even as an adult, it's still reaching out to those ones that care about us. But thank you for sharing that as well. So I guess at Valley Noble, for our next question, at Valley Noble we provide resources and workshops and material for to help to elevate your mental wealth and your mental health, and well-being. So, what kind of resources do you think students at BYU in Hawaii, or international students, or even friends and family back home, what kind of resources do you think they would want to see more of?
I think since I came from Taiwan, and it's like an Asian background, and I think people are less likely to express their thoughts verbally because that's just not part of our culture. Uh, so I feel like if we are able to like write it down, to like, for example, have some, it's not like, but sometimes like they also kind of get scared to meet counselor because they feel like, am I having a problem? Am I, you know, yeah, what happened to me? So for us, like, it still take time to understand that seeing a counselor is to having someone you can talk to. So I feel like being able to write it down and get some feedback from like some professional, it might help. And then as they go back and forth, that they build a trust, they might be more willing to speak on the phone. Because as I mentioned, that for me, at first, online face-to-face teaching is scary. I don't want people to see my face, so I think somehow phone call actually helps a lot because when they first like don't know the person, not
Yes.
seeing their face probably provides some sort of security.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. Thank you so much. And it is like I think even in our culture as well. So I'm from a Maori background or Polynesian background, and we're trying to promote more awareness about having those conversations around mental health, but it's still a long way to go. And I think providing material, that's something that we are passionate about at Valley Nobles, providing material and resources that they can, like you said, write down, read, or watch videos on. And
Yeah,
so, yeah, I think it will take some time. I guess it's a whole way
and
of thinking, which will take some time, but it's something that we love to promote right now.
I first talk about like writing it out loud, like as
Yes.
a agent, but I also thought about like sometimes people express themselves through art, through drawing, through music,
Yes,
and
yes,
through,
yes,
as you mentioned, about video. So I feel like those kind of things are also would be pretty helpful because
yes,
people are all different, and sometimes they express themselves through draw, through dance, through singing,
yes,
those kind of things.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think those are all great mediums in a way to connect around, even just thinking about mental health. But I've seen some really great journals, so journaling and having prompts about how was your day today, how did you manage this, because sometimes I think that's for me, like journaling is really great, but sometimes I think, what am I supposed to write today? So having those journals with a prompt, or to say, whatever the prompt is, but write about this today, write about how you're feeling, or write about something that's made you sad, how do you work on that. But yeah, and art and creative ways of expression is definitely a way to look at and connect with mental health. So that's great. I love that. Thank you.
you.
So moving on to our next question. I'm sorry, I've got to find myself here as well. Okay. So, next question. What about what's kept you motivated throughout your academic journey in BYU, were there specific goals and aspirations that drove you forward? So, what kept you motivated? And I forgot to ask too, like, what year are you in at school?
Oh, senior. It's,
Senior. So,
yeah.
when do you graduate?
So yeah, the end of this year.
Wow, so that's great, exciting. But yes, what has
Yeah.
kept you motivated through these past few years?
So definitely my family. I
Yeah,
think their support, their trust, and how they how they value me, and to trust that I will be able to do things with those academic support has been a drive for me. And I actually visited home last year, July, after 2 years being here,
yes.
because my youngest one also just got home from her volunteer service at church. So it's like the first time, like four of us with our family, with our parents, that we got together. And so we took a lot of pictures in the past 13 days, and I printed out and bring it with me. I also put that in my phone cases, so there are three pictures, and also in my dorm, I also just put a bunch of pictures that we took in those 13 days. And for me, it's important because sometimes I'm still gonna get frustrated, or I'm still gonna not feeling motivated to do things, but whenever I saw them, I
Yeah.
just feel like that was like my drive, with my family, because they love me, they care for me, and they know what I'm capable of. So
If I was there, I was gonna say I'd give you a high five
yeah,
because that is so important, and it is such a drive when you're thinking about your family and what they've sacrificed as well for you, and knowing how they are just saying, we know you got this, you keep going. So that's really good. I think that's such an important thing to keep us, grounded, to remind us when those days are tough. We all have those tough days when we're like, oh, I don't know if I want to keep going, or I'm feeling a bit unmotivated right now. So that's really great that you have all your family's photos to keep reminding you of that motivation. So thank you for that. What about for you know students coming or wanting to come? So what advice would you give to international students who are considering attending BYU as their study destination? So preparation, any advice, what kind of advice would you give?
there are a lot of things that I learned in the past 3 years. But one thing specifically for international students is that to to embrace the different culture that you exposed to. I think there's something very valuable from our roots, and I think we bring part of ourselves, part of our culture into this very diverse country. But that doesn't mean that we reluctant to embrace or learn from other cultures. And I think it's definitely to leave your comfort zone to meet new people. You have to learn about others and learn about yourself more. Because sometimes, like, yes, it's easier to spend time with the people that you're familiar with, less contention because of the same language. But definitely going out enable you to broaden your horizon, and you're able to learn so much more about people. And another thing I want to mention is that to also reach out to people, talk to people when you are struggling, because a lot of times that people just keep it within themselves and don't want to bother others. But we are all international students. We are all come from our home. Come, eh? Sorry, my English. We all come here far from our home, so we experience a similar thing, and it's good to share that with others, and instead of just keep it and have all this weight on yourself. So yeah, two main things. One is just like embrace other different cultures, and but still hold your value, and second one is to reach out to others, either care for others or to share about your personal concerns with your trust ones to navigate through the university life.
Whoa, that's lovely. Thank you so much. It's such a great tip because I think you don't realize how much diversity there is when you're thinking of going. That when you do get there, it is quite a if you're not expecting it, you're a little bit shocked at how many different cultures there are. But I think that's such a it's a really way to broaden your horizon, to give you such a bigger perspective in just learning for yourself. As you said, you can become so much more self-aware, accepting of other people. So that's definitely a great tip. I think for me too, when I went across to BYU Hawaii with friends, but you know we had gone through high school together. We just did not anticipate the amount of different cultures, languages, and it was overwhelming, but was great at the same time. But I think that's definitely a great tip for prospective international students. So thank you so much. Okay, well, we've come to sort of like the ending of our interview, but for our audience, so we want them to share in the comments what is one tip you would ask the audience to do to look after their mental health today?
So, um, I would like audience to think about what are something that helps you to de-stress. Like what's some like habits or things you like to do. Of course, that we are all learning how to relieve our stress, but I believe that everyone that we're different. We all have our own habit or ways of how we reduce our stress and how we feel better and get back on track. And I think it's just a good way by sharing that you can know that oh what you have already known and what you have been doing to take care of yourself. So also people can learn from you and they might be able to try the things that you've been doing. So yeah.
Excellent. So, for your tip today, what are those things that you do to help relieve or de stress yourself? Share in the comments. We'd love to see those, and we'd love to, let Joya know what you would like to do. Let us at Valley Noble know how you would like to de stress today. So we have wrapped it up today. Thank you, Joya. That was so many great inspirational thoughts that you've shared with us today, and we appreciate you sharing your experiences with us. But before we wrap up, a friendly reminder to our audience and to those of you who are watching, you know, life can get really overwhelming at times. It can get stressful. It can, especially during exam times or family times, work, social life can be so stressful sometimes. So, you know, just a friendly reminder when that daily hustle gets a little bit too much for you, like to reach out to a professional. They're there to listen and to help make things a little bit lighter. So a professional like Charlene, who's on our team, a psychotherapist or therapist, counselor, anyone who will be there to that is professional that can help you to work through those strategies for you for your mental health. So thanks again, Joya. We really appreciate. And for our audience, take care, and we'll catch up with you next time. Thank you. Bye.